my friend, okay, now let me tell you about this book first, okay? This is a very interesting book, and it's called, have I ever told you about The Forbidden Truth According to King James? Have I ever told you about that book?
I've heard of it.
Okay. The title of the book is The Forbidden Truth According to King James. James, right? Like King James Bible. But according is not spelled like you'd spell it normally, like according with two C's, like ACCORDING. According, right? According in this book is spelled AKORDING. So there's, you remove the C's and you replace it with one K. But what it is the book is a collection of the books of the Bible that have been rewritten beginning at the book of Genesis all the way to the end of the book of Revelation, letter for letter. The only difference is some parts of it were left out due to they were the parts that the author felt the most people generally know already about the Bible or have heard already. So in order to shorten the Bible a little bit to make it easier for somebody to read like a story, he took out a lot of it, or some of it rather, and how some of the way he based on what he was going to take out was, well, what does he think most people have heard of mostly from the Bible, right? Like there's certain things from the Bible almost everybody knows, right? Like there's
like if I had to say the parting of the sea, Moses, the Ten Commandments part, John 3:16.
Yeah. So he left out, right? So in his book, in his version,
the Sermon on the Mount.
So let's look, because I'll show you. In his Bible, that's the Forbidden Truth, is the according to King James. That is the one version, and then the other version is the King James Bible, and I have a version of that one. And I think you've seen my Bible, right? The Bible I have. It's a Thompson's Chain Reference, 1988, 5th Improved Edition, B.B. Kirkbride Bible Company, Incorporated, and the copyright date is 88. But the story of Moses and the Exodus and all of that business, right? And the plagues, right? Everybody's heard them, right? It's been done a million times. So he left that out of his version. Well, I'm just looking at the plagues, and then you'll notice that every time that there was a plague performed, the Lord did this, or the Lord did that, and then the frogs came, or the locusts came, or somebody died, or somebody got killed, and everybody's heard that, so he left that out of his book. And so you just kind of see this as you go along. But for instance, let's take a look here in, you could look at this over in the book of Deuteronomy, and then normally then you'd have right, so you have Genesis, Exodus. Okay, so here's Exodus, page 21 in the Forbidden Truth. Exodus, and Exodus is exactly in the Forbidden Truth 1, 2, 3, 3.5 pages long. In the Forbidden Truth.
Hey, can I say something? Can I do Bob Marley though?
Yeah.
Exodus, movement of your people.
Was that Bob Marley?
Bob Marley song. Yeah.
I didn't know he did that.
He has a song. He goes, Exodus, movement of your people.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Part of the reason was because
I don't remember the name of the song, though. Yeah, I want to be politically correct, though. I'm not doing it to offend anybody's ethnicity. I just am doing the song to quotation.
Yeah, but it sounds good.
I'm joking.
Yeah, but no, it sounds good. But I always say,
I'm not going to try to be politically correct here. Okay, okay.
But you know what? Brings up another good point. When you do comedy and political, anything political is going to be funny, no matter what, right? Because political means automatically you're dealing with liars and hypocrites. It doesn't matter. Whoever is in politics is automatically a liar and a hypocrite.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. There's hypocrisy on both sides. Yeah.
Right. So you're going to have.
I'm with you on that, dude.
Right. So once you say, I'm going to do a political joke, all you really have to do is close your eyes and throw something at the wall, and you're going to find something funny, because no matter where it sticks, because it's funny all over. There's nothing in that sense that's political that's not funny. Everything is funny in politics.
Right.
Yeah. The problem is people get so mad if they don't think it's funny. They're like, oh, I didn't like that particular joke, so I'm going to get mad at you because I didn't like that joke you told about my guy.
Well, they get too sensitive about it, and I always tell them it's like, it's just to poke fun. I'm a comedian, I don't like. I used to be kind of more biased, but at this point, I'm kind of like, I'm pretty even across the board politically.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I find that most of the comedy, trying to have a positive message, you can't just trash people all the time. Personally.
Yeah.
You have to find a balance between poking fun and you being true to your own values, and then also trying to live according to some way that, according to me, how I would want society to turn out. Like, a nicer, kinder world would be better to me than some world where everybody hides behind a bulletproof screen and it's the purge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel about it. But,
unfortunately, we're getting to the point where people want to live, they want to live a purge lifestyle. It seems like that's kind of what they want.
Yeah. Well, here, let me read you something out of the Forbidden Truth, and this is an example of what we were talking about. And here it is. The Forbidden Truth let me read you what it's about, because, we were talking about how professional wrestling and professional politics are pretty much the same thing. We always talk about that. You and I always talk about that. And the funniest jokes are the ones that are able to draw the correlation between how fake politics is, what a show it is, what kind of a show they put on for people. And because professional wrestling is really funny if you think about how those athletes are really actors also. Okay, so Forbidden Truth. This is Psalms, the book of Psalms, right? And it is, again, this is not the Bible, the King James Bible, but it is all the books of the Bible condensed or abridged and then in chronological order. So in chapter number 46 of the book of Psalms, the book of Psalms, in the Forbidden Truth, so that'll be page 100 on the Forbidden Truth, and it'll be on page 100, column on the right, okay, middle paragraph. And it says, also in this book, there are no verse numbers in this book. Only chapter numbers for headings. So Psalms says 46, only on the top of Psalms 46, it just says 46, and then there's a paragraph, but no verses, no verse numbers. So that makes it different. Okay, so here we're going to read it out of Psalms, Forbidden Truth. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. And so that's right from the Forbidden Truth. So, you can see that is directly the King James language, the King James Bible, but this book is not the whole King James Bible. So tell me what's been going on with this is designed to be a introduction to the King James language and to familiarize yourself with the 66 books of the Bible. But tell me what's going on with you. And last time I saw you, we talked to each other, you were doing a political type of a show, but it was one of those, as we were saying, everybody's getting it. Everybody's part of the humor there. So what was tell us about it.
Oh, the last show I did was April 28th. It was called the Political Almanac Show, and it was at the Source Church in Redlands. And my friend Phil Courtney produces it, and he has other performers. He has music, and we kind of, and like entertainment, but we kind of poke fun at politics. I do like a version of Wonderful World. I do Trumped Up World. I say I see ice caps melt and temperatures rise. All I see is denials and lies, and I think to myself, what a trumped up world. And then I do the conspiracy guy Alex Jones, and I do this rant about like he's doing this thing about you can't have cell phones, and then I do this thing about how the government's trying to take our cell phones, and I do like a whole thing about how. Like I poke fun at the whole political thing, but we kind of try to be new. We it is more to the left his show, but I mean me politically, I try to be neutral. I just do it to poke fun, you know. I do it to be funny because I'm a comedian, and even if I make fun of you, I might like you because I make fun of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like you. For two reasons. First, because...
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Right.
I like you.
I like you a lot. I do. You know what I just realized?
You look like Mr. Rogers.
Do you know what I just realized when you said that? That I guess I do. I am like Mr. Rogers. I grew up watching him. But listen.
Oh, wow.
You have always... because, you know, I know that... we're talking to Brian Petrasic, and he organizes shows and has been performing comedy. And also we're reading out of The Forbidden Truth, which I just did. But, you know, every time I am feeling like I need to do something, Brian Petrasic sends me a text or calls me on a phone and says, hey, do you want to come to this show? Or do you want to be on this stage? Or whatever. And it's always perfect timing. And the other reason is... because he's just a nice guy, and I really appreciate that. Always including everybody equally. I've never known a time when he has, that I've seen. He might be hiding it. He might be a good actor. But I've never seen a time when he has attempted to leverage someone in a way so that they're down lower than he is, and he gets the better benefit of celebration and glory and whatever, because... it's all about...
No, people should always worship me. No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
I knew it. There he is. But that's true, though. So those are the two reasons. It's just an easy match because that's how I think. I like to think like that. We're very similar. We came together doing a show off of a flyer, and we always say, I tell everybody, we met at an alley, right? And you'll know...
We met in an alley, yeah.
We met at an alley, and we'll note that, for the record... we were not doing illicit things in the alley, but we were nonetheless in an alley. And we were talking about doing comedy, and it just so happened that we did a comedy show together, and we've just been friends since at least 2013. So that would be like 5 years at least. But more than comedy, as a professional, also great, excellent, and one of my mentors, unofficially. But as a friend, good work. Thank you for being a good friend. You get a 3. I give you,
awesome, man.
Yeah, I give you a 4 out of 5 for friend, and the only reason you didn't get an extra 1 is because nobody's perfect. That's the reason why. Nobody gets a 4. Nobody gets a 5 of 5 in my book.
No.
Yeah. But
I appreciate it, man. Nobody's perfect.
But no, you do comedy that's political, and you do everybody. The only person I haven't seen you do, though, is Hillary, because it's hard to do a face. She's more of a face than a voice, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I should just do her, eyes. She's very expressive with her eyes.
Right. That's the problem with Hillary is, you know how with most political people, every Halloween there's a political mask?
Sandra,
Yeah, what?
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. Can you give me just 1 minute?
Oh, sure. So, what? Yeah, but the thing is, you include people. I include people. I want to do comedy, and I want to perform an act that includes people. So, what we're trying to accomplish is including people, but not just to include people, to do something. So, you're an organizer and a performer. and you do political shows, but as we were saying, there's humor on every side. For instance, let's say this. Here's where I don't get where people get so upset. It's all professional wrestling. I have my actor, you have yours, right? Somebody told me, well, you see, yeah, your criminal candidate lost the election, right? And I said, yeah, that's right, and your criminal candidate won the election. That's right. Yeah. You're right. My criminal candidate lost the election, yes. See, because I voted for my criminal candidate, right? And I voted.
At least you admit your candidate's criminal.
Right, because I voted for Hillary.
Like, yeah. Like, well, okay, both are criminals. Right. Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, I voted for Hillary. Yeah, and I know Hillary's a criminal because she's in politics. So automatically, I know she's a liar. And then also, I know that
she's in politics.
Yeah, she's in politics. And then also, I know that my criminal candidate didn't win, but your criminal candidate did. So, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't have any problem with it. See, I can make, and also we were joking about, I was telling you, I was getting ready to say about Hillary, the Hillary masks. It's hard to make a Hillary mask because she's always making such a different face. You know? She's like the Lon Chaney of political faces.
Lon Chaney.
You know? Like, hey, you know what? You have a really good voice impression act. And if you can watch your performance live, if people can catch the Brian Petrasic live, they will see that there's a physicality incorporated with that. That's not only vocal. You do the physical, right? You could do it off a script.
I try to do more physical. What is the word I'm looking for? Physicality.
Mm-hmm.
But, somebody suggested to me that they said my voices were great, but I got to have, like, Richard Little, I think he was good at physicality, and I think Dana Carvey, he's a good impersonator, and he's good at that, too.
Well, yeah, let me say, when I mean physical, I'm not talking about so much that you will see that, oh, this person, Brian, looks exactly like whoever he's making an impression of with his voice. What I mean is, if you see Brian performing this live, it's kind of like watching a person on a surfboard. You know that it's hard. They make it look easy, but it's fun watching them do it. And you don't get that when you're only listening over the radio or internet. When you actually watch the effort that goes into your face and the things that you do to your body to make your voice sound that way. Because there's things that you contort your body like an accordion to squeeze sounds out of your body. And you actually contort your face when you're making certain sounds, and it makes you sound like a different person. But it's really fun to watch you do that because it's always fun to watch a person at work. Mm-hmm. So what do you got coming up? You got any shows coming up?
I got another one of those at the Source Church. I have another show August 4th at 1 at 2 and 1 at 7. The Source Church in Redlands.
That's a doubleheader?
And then I have a comedy show at the Vinyl Record Store in Redlands. I'm producing and hosting on the 26th of July on a Thursday. And then on the 20th of July, I'm doing a show in the High Desert at the Holiday Inn. It's actually in, I want to say it's in, not Apple Valley, the other one. The one next to Apple Valley, Victorville. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I got a show there at the Ha Ha. Well, it's called Ha Ha Live, but it's at the Holiday Inn. It's at 9 o'clock. The Holiday Inn on the 20th of July in Victorville.
Man, you are booked. That is exciting.
Yeah, I go weeks at a time where I don't perform, but now I got some stuff coming up. On September 1st, I'm supposed to be doing a show in Temecula, somewhere in wine country. I don't know where. Maybe I'll do like Sideways, the movie Sideways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, that's a good movie. I don't need to.
Yeah, it's an excellent movie.
Yeah, I don't need to do that movie. See it? I lived it. I have proof. I lived it. So I was going to read.
You lived it, yeah.
Now, if you'll know, I was going to say that. I was going to read that earlier. Had read. We're reading the Forbidden Truth according to King James, which is a book is designed to be in an introduction to the King James language. I recommend this book. And familiarize yourself with the 66 books which are contained in the King James Bible. It is to be read as a story or can be used as a study guide. So you can use it as a study guide. You can read it as a story. But here it is. Earlier we read 46 Psalms, and now we're going to read it out of this one. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, and though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof, Selah. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, and she shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. And the heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge, Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow. He cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge, Selah. So that one's a lot more lengthy than the Forbidden Truth. That was the King James Bible, and out of my Thompson's Chain Reference. And the other one was about half that, and that was in the, the Forbidden Truth. But I saw a lot of stuff in there interesting, how you'll notice. This is a book now. Remember, I always try to point out that the Forbidden Truth is a book to help people get a familiarity with the King James Bible or the language of that book. So it's a good book. Recommend it. If you want to be interested in those stories, right? Since the Bible's a collection of stories, right? Mm-hmm. It is. It's a book. You know what it is? The Bible is a collection of books, right? The Bible?
66,
66
right?
books,
66
right.
Books?
The King James Bible. My Bible. Now, everybody's Bible doesn't have the same amount of books. Right? Some, like if you go, some Bibles, like I have some relatives and they might go to one church, and I might have some friends that might go to another church. I don't know what kind of Bible they use. Everybody's Bible is slightly different. But generally, the King James Bible, the Christian King James Bible, has 66 books in it, right? Genesis to Revelation. It's always the same. And that's what the Forbidden Truth is based on that version, that 66 book version. But you know that the Bible, the word the Bible just means the book. Bible means book.
Right.
Yeah, and the Bible is like you say, the book of Genesis, right? The book of Matthew, the book of Revelation. The Bible is a collection of books. Right? So in other words, if somebody said, hey, could you give me that Bible over there? What they mean is, could you give me that collection of 66 books over there? Right? And it would be like if you said, if you had the DVD set and it was a 3-disc set, and you said, hey, give me that. You said, give me that 3-disc set. But you wouldn't say, give me that 3-disc set. You would just say, hey, give me that box. You would just say, or when you talk about the Bible, you don't say, give me those 66 books. You just say, hey, give me that Bible over there. Or I need to get my Bible. Or I'm going to church, I need my Bible. Right? And what you mean is, I need this collection of books because I'm going to be using it at some point. Either I'm going to read out of it, or for whatever reason, right? I'm going to study it, or it's important to me, or I'm going to take a test on it. But whatever reason, you are saying I need to have this 66 books, right? I just trying to establish that the Bible is a book of 66 books, right? We can agree on that, right?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Okay. And keep it in mind, the only reason I'm asking you these questions, it's for everybody out there in Christian land listening. This is not for anybody here. Just kidding. It's starting with me, actually. All this is for me first. But this is for Christians, right? With a capital S at the end, right? Christians with a capital S at the end of their name. Because they don't know anything about the Bible, evidently. So here, this show, Forbidden Truth, is here to teach Christians about the Bible. So I'm trying to teach them, first of all, this here you're helping us, that the Bible is a collection of books. That's something everybody agrees on. Next, here's where it gets into. I don't believe that anybody's going to argue against that, right? Would you agree that most people, 99%, in fact 100% of the people that you would say, is the Bible a collection of books, whether they believed it was the Word of God or not, they would probably agree and say, yes, the Bible is a collection of books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would say, hey, a book is a book, right? I mean, it's a collection of books. It's a collection of books. I may think it's a bunch of fairy tales, but it's still a collection of books. So what if I said then, okay, here's this collection of books, and what I'm going to do with this collection of books is I am going to tell you that everything that is in this collection of books is for every single person, all the time, no matter what. I now have offered you another opportunity to assess the Bible beyond just, is it a collection of books? Now I have asked you to ask a second question, and that is the Bible a collection of books that I need all of the time, all of it, all of the time, for all moments, all the time, no matter what? And I would say there is no way you could know that unless you read the entire Bible through, first of all. You'd have to read the whole Bible through first to know that. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, if that, it depends on the person. Some people might. I think what works for you might not work for the next person. For you, that might be something you absolutely need every day, every moment. But for the next person, they might need something different.
I totally agree, and I think that answer was a better one than I could have given to demonstrate the point.
However, I think if you went through the whole book, everybody could find something they could relate to. Everybody.
Agreed. Go ahead.
But most of now, is every book that way? No. But I think the Bible has some unique things. The 66 books you talked about, that you find something you're going through. So, when they talk about Paul the Apostle, I really relate to him talking in Romans where he says he struggles with sin. I do the things I don't want to do, but I do them anyway. When I read that, I was like, wow, this is me.
Yeah. I enjoy that book as well, and I think what you're saying is, it's what the book, The Forbidden Truth, is. It shows that I feel the same way you do, I think, for what you just said regarding the Bible. For me, I don't have any issue with the Bible. What I am trying to get out of the Bible is, what is it and what does it mean? For me, the Bible is a collection of books, a book of stories and collection of writings that can help me follow the Lord today in this world that I live in now, today, 2000 whatever, right?
Right.
For instance, when I read a story, like we might have read over here in Romans, where it says, getting back, hey, let's go to the Forbidden Truth. Let's go to Romans 6. Let's talk about it for today. Because I could say, in my opinion, this is exactly what you said. I totally agree with you. Some people feel that way, and in my opinion, there are certain parts of the Bible that I use all of the time, because in my opinion, they apply to me. But what happens, I feel, and having done this myself, having been one of these Christians myself in the past, a lot of Christians, like 99% of them, not all of them, Just some. You got to get real close to the microphone and say, not all Christians, so they don't all get mad at you. Because, you know, Christians, they'll always go, not all Christians. Yeah, I know it. Yeah, not all Christians. Just the ones I'm talking about. Okay, good. I guess, I had to say that only for Christians. Just the ones this joke applies to. Not all of them, okay? So everybody just settle down out there. There you go. Okay. But here you go. Because in my opinion, much of the Bible is true, or in my opinion, it applies to me or whatever. But Christians, a lot of them, generalizing, they will try to push the Bible on people that don't even believe in the Bible as the Word of God.
Right. You don't push something on somebody who doesn't want something. It's like if somebody goes to the store and says, I want to buy some meatloaf, and somebody says, hey, buy some veggies instead. Or even a vegan, you're not going to sell them a freaking hamburger. You know?
And if
they have their mind made up. People have their mind made up. You can't change apples to oranges, or oranges to apples, or, you know, fruits to vegetables, or veggies to fruits, you know?
Yeah, so, hey, you should go in the grocery business. That's fast.
I should. Yeah. I'm telling you. You can't.
No, go ahead.
You can't do that. You can't say to somebody, oh, if you don't believe this, you're going to hell. It's like saying, I'm going to punch you in the face if you know. It's like, no. But if you tell somebody, hey, God loves you and wants you to be the best person you can be and wants you to achieve everything you ever want, and God loves you and wants your heart, He's there if you need Him, and He's there to offer you help. And it's like, yeah, I'm struggling. I want help. Well, here's how I'm going to show you the way. Now, you better be good, or I'm going to burn you forever. That's not going to make somebody go. I mean, they might believe in it because they're scared. And you know, that's how is that gonna make somebody? I mean, they're not believing it from their heart if they're scared. They're believing it because they're actually kind of selfish. They're like, well, I don't want to be punished.
That's how I felt for years, and I now don't feel that way, and it's such a relief. But it wasn't very motivating in a good way. It always made me feel scared. Always, I was always scared. And if
you look at, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought.
Well, no, it's just like God's grace. So it's like, oh, well, no, that's why I talk about the struggling. Because I mean, I admit there's some things in Romans where it's like, there are things in there that they interpret it as, you know, that pretty harsh towards homosexuality. Now, I don't exactly know I don't want to say I'm a historical expert or anything, but I believe a lot of the things they were condemning were like Sodom and Gomorrah. It was like acts of where they were sodomizing people. Maybe it was rape, maybe it was against their will, but I don't believe that God would condemn all homosexuals. Like, I don't, because if you look at what Jesus said about homosexuals, actually, if anything, I think He said, sin is all sin's the same, and He said, you know, even the most, whatever your sin is, He still loved and forgave everyone, you know, and I'm not going to say homosexuality is a sin because I'm a glutton, so I can't say, oh, that's a sin or that's all I know is my own sins.
Yeah.
And I can't look at somebody else's sins. I mean, they say the law.
Mm-hmm. I love to start. Now go ahead.
They say don't judge the speck in somebody's eye when you have a log, which I think that's actually kind of a funny verse. I think Jesus was actually kind of making a little comedy there. It's like, yeah, you got a whole branch growing in your head. Yeah. You know, you got a whole tree growing in your head, and it's like, even if you clean out the speck, we're always going to have logs growing in our eyes. We're all human. I mean, it's just what's in our heart and how we treat one another. That's what God looks at. That's what I at least think, you know.
That's the key for me. How do you treat your neighbor? And I have always said, since I started these public presentations, whatever you want to call them, I don't need a book of rules to tell me how to treat my neighbor in a kind way. I just don't need it. But
you need to think called common sense.
All you got to do is just be nice. So here's one. Here you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. This is very important because as we're talking about the forbidden truth, do you know that the forbidden truth is actually the Bible, because it seems like the Christians act like they're forbidden from reading it. But here it is. If you look at, here's the concept that Christians have and are perpetuating and continuing to tell a lie, because they don't know what it is. They've never either read the Bible, or they don't know what it is, or they don't know what the New Testament is, or they don't understand contracts. And it is this. Everything related to any judgment, everything related to any type of condemnation, any type of performance of judgment upon any person or thing for any crime, whether a felony or misdemeanor against the law, or a willful intent of act against the law to overthrow the law or follow the law, it's been taken care of. There is no judgment. The book of Romans is not there to tell people, do not do this and do not do that. The book of Romans is there to tell people, all of this has been accomplished, so now act like it has been. That's all the book of Romans is. Now, I can show you where it is. Take your time with me.
No, that's a different way of looking at it, though.
Right.
I never really...
And take your time with me. I'm going to show you 3 places in Romans. It's right out of the King James Bible, and it will prove to me, and you can decide whether to look at it or not, but you don't have to have your Bible, but listen carefully, everybody out there, because this is the part where I used to be one of these people that lived in fear, and I had a terrible mental illness called the Christian's mental illness that made me want to look for the rule book and want to look for the judgment and wanted to wish for the condemnation and the judgment. But it's not there. You can't find it, friend. Guess why? It's been paid it all. Jesus paid it all. That's the songs they need to be singing. They need to sing in church, Jesus paid it all, and then they need to act like it. Right? Okay.
So he paid it all, we're free from sin, so instead of, you better act good or you're going to burn forever.
Yeah, or else.
Instead act like...
Okay, but let's read it.
Well, I'm already saved, I'm already good with God, so I just need to... it's a positive. It's a positive spin.
Right, because now, guess what? Now you don't... Let me read something to you. Because now you don't worry about... It would be like this. It would be like if you had a car, right? And you had a car, and you had to take a trip to Vegas, back and forth from Los Angeles, every day with that car. But every day you drove back and forth to Los Angeles, something broke on that car, and it was just a major deal that caused you fear, anxiety, stress, and you were always behind on the payments, and you could never take care of the problem. And then one day, somebody got a hold of whatever it was you needed and took care of that issue, gave you a brand new car, right? And it was let's say that it was a model car that never needed gas. It never needed air to be put in the tires. You never needed to do any maintenance on it. It ran forever on its own. It was the perfect car, the world's perfect car. It's a movie, right? Make believe, the world of the future. Boom, you got it. But then you spent every day you got into that car. Every day you got into that car. Every day you got into that car. You opened up the hood. And you tried to find something wrong with it every single time you opened the hood. You unplugged wires. You poked holes in the tires. You let the oil out. You know what I'm saying? By that, you destroyed the car. You are self-destruction. You're engaging in self-destructive behavior.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that, because there have been times I've gone to the doctors and I thought, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. My health's bad, or I took a blood test and I thought, oh my God, I have diabetes, and I don't. But then I convinced myself, oh my God, there's something wrong, and there never is.
Okay. Listen to this. That's true.
Same kind of thing.
Okay. First of all, the Bible, the book of Romans, is a book, as I said, about this new car. Paul is saying, look, the car is fine. Let me tell you what happened to the car. It's been exchanged. It's a new car. The problem is you're still treating it like it's an old car. Stop it. Stop pulling over every time you hear a bump on the side of the road. The car is fine. Stop getting out of the car every time you drive 60 miles and check under the hood, check the water level. Stop it. You are acting as if you're living in the past. Paul is saying you used to live under the law. You used to follow a set of rules. You used to live according to this church membership, according to that church membership. Now, one rule. Follow this rule. The old man, the old person is dead. Now the new person is an actor that acts like Christ. And that's what the book of Romans is. That's why I always say Christians are actors.
See, that's why people who get offended by that, they don't understand where you're coming from.
Here you go. Here it is right here. King James Bible. Verse 14.
Quoting the Bible. See, you need to mention that in your act, though. You need to say that, because I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm saying you should say that. Say, well, if you get offended by me saying that, well, no, this is what the Bible says, you know.
Yeah, I got to do a better job. You're right. I'm going to work on that, because I have now understood that part of where I was missing the delivery to the audience was I wasn't using the Bible enough, because Christians are really familiar with the Bible. But here it is right here. 8, and I'm a Christian, by the way, and I love the Bible. I think it's a great book. I recommend it for some people. Not everybody. Okay, here you go. Chapter 8 in the King James Bible, book of Romans. Okay, here you go. Okay, here you go. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit. If so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. If any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he's none of his. And that's why I always say, if you don't believe it, don't worry about it. It doesn't apply to you. This only applies to Christians. Paul is writing not to people that don't have the Spirit. He's writing to people that do have the Spirit. So, right there off the bat, if you're reading the book of Romans and you care about the book of Romans, then it's for you. You have the Spirit already. It's for you. So then he tells you, keep reading. And if Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin. So in other words, yeah, of course your body's going to be full of sin. Of course your body's going to miss the mark. Of course your body's still going to do all that stuff that you used to do and feel guilty about. Right? You're still going to have all the same feelings, all the same thoughts. You're still going to have all the same tendencies, same personality traits. You're still going to write with your left hand or right hand. Whatever you did before, you're going to still feel the same way. He says the only difference is that is in your body. It's your spirit you need to be thinking about. It's your mind. Your mind is the thing we're talking about, not your body. Paul here isn't concerned. He doesn't care about what books a person reads, what videos a person looks at, what binge watching a person does or doesn't do, what lapel label they wear on their coat, how they stand or kneel when they say the Pledge of Allegiance or don't. Who cares? Paul isn't concerned with that. All Paul cares about is this. Something has been accomplished, and this is what we can do because of it. We don't have to follow a set of rules, but we can do all things through Christ. And here he says this. But ye are not in the flesh, but if the Spirit of him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you. This is verse 11, chapter 8 of Romans, King James Bible. If he dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Spirit that dwell in you. So in other words, don't worry about all of this. It is not up to you to change your body. It's not up to you to change the way you look, the way you feel, the way, to put it quite bluntly, you might have certain feelings when you feel, I can't feel that way because I might be committing adultery when I feel that way. Well, you know what? Maybe you are, but who cares? That's not the point. The point is you have been freed from worrying about that. That's the whole point of the book of Romans.
See, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but you should be a preacher. You have a good way of saying the words.
Well, we're preaching right now, right out of the forbidden truth. According to King James, we are preaching. So, okay, we got a few minutes left, but I wanted to finish Romans, and then I want to hear about one more thing about forbidden truth, and then... But he says, but if the Spirit of him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Spirit that dwelleth in you. Therefore, brethren, we are, here it is right here. This is it. Therefore, brethren. Who's he talking to? Brethren or non-brethren? Brethren. Is he talking to brethren or nethren? That was a good one, nethren. He's talking to brethren. He's talking to fellow Christians, fellow people in the Lord, right? Brethren. And this is what he says. We are debtors. In other words, yeah, he says we owe debtors. We're debtors, right? He says we're under the debt, not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. Now listen to this. This is very important information. This explains what we were talking about the sin thing. For if ye live, this is where Christians will start to go, oh yeah, I told you, if ye live after sin, if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. Here it comes, because Christians love the judgment. Christians love to point out where people are going to die because of what they do. Because if you're different from me, you're going to go to hell, you're going to die. That's how Christians talk, right? You can't eat at this chicken restaurant. You have to eat at this one, otherwise we're going to put you out of business. We're going to kill you economically. And Christians are obsessed with stealing and killing and destroying from people that they don't agree with or don't agree with them, right? That, in my opinion. And so here we're here, and not all Christians. Let me say it again. I'm going to get real close to the microphone. Not all Christians. Only the ones that the joke's about. Yeah, but you know, the truth is, this joke is only for a few Christians. It's not for everybody. Because there was a time when I wasn't ready to hear this stuff either. I didn't want to hear this stuff. When I was a full-blown homophobe, bigot, racist, I didn't want to hear any of this stuff back in the 90s. But here you go. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. And here's the key. They said, oh, so then that means through the Spirit, you have to deny your interest or your wish to watch that show or to read that book or to go see that performer. You have to deny that because you have to do it through the Spirit. Because if you go to that movie or if you smoke that cigarette, you know, so-called medicinal or otherwise, you might go to hell. Well, what does he say? No. He says, follow up the next verse. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. And again, he says, because remember, he started that by saying, ye are debtors not to the flesh, not to live according to the flesh. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the flesh, right? But then he says, if ye are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. So here he's drawing a comparison and he's contrasting. There are people that act like they are indebted to their flesh. All they think about is how to deny their flesh. How their flesh is so much stronger than their will to overcome. And now he says, no, you are to overcome the flesh through the Spirit by doing this. Being led by the Spirit, not by not doing something, but by being led by the Spirit. So the point is not, did I do this or not do that, or did I go to church on this day, or did I not go to a certain building, or do I don't believe anything at all? Who cares? The point is, how am I treating my neighbor, right? And also, how am I living? Am I living following around how I feel, or am I living as if with a positive attitude that I don't have to act like every time I feel guilty about something because of the way I was raised, because if somebody told me it was in a book of rules, when really that book of rules was a book of stories to help me live a better life if I choose it that way. I can see it as a book of rules if I want to. Or I can say, hey, it's a book to help me have a better life. And what I'm saying about the book of Romans is, you can read right there in Romans where you can see, verse 15, ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption. Now let me ask you a question. If you're adopted by the Lord, do you think the Lord if he did all of this stuff for you, according to the stories, do you think the Lord wants people to act like everything he did for them was worthless? If he's adopted them as his own kids? I don't.
No.
Of course not. Now, that's just me. That's the way I read this story. Somebody else might pick the Bible up and say, well, I don't agree with that. In my opinion, that says this. And I would say, well, that's just your opinion. But you'll have to show me that in the story. Because what I'm finding is a lot of Christians will read things in the book, and then they'll make up and add stuff, and then they won't be honest and say, well, that's just my opinion, or what my belief, or my interpretation. I'm honest. Like when you say something, when we were talking earlier, you said, that's kind of my belief, or that's how I see it. Most Christians you talk to on TV is what I'm saying. The TV Christians is what I'm talking about. They will usually tell you on TV, this is the way it is, or else, right? And then the next thing you know, they're trying to put you out of business, right? You ate at the wrong chicken restaurant, Buster. Out of business. And
dude, if I can't say that. I don't know. I'm human. If they say that, then they're playing God themselves. It's like, no, none of us know anything for sure.
Well, I couldn't agree anymore. I'd say that's a great...
I mean, I know that I could say I know I'm talking to you on the phone, but even that, I might be dreaming. Who knows?
Hey, not to mention, technically, we're not even talking to each other. We're talking to either our hands, or if the phone is not in our hands, we're talking to something. I know I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to something. I know that originally you're talking into something, and then that's turned into something else, and that goes somewhere, turned into something else, and then comes out to me.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's weird if you think about it. So,